Have you ever wanted to take over the world? Perhaps carpet bomb all of Europe, or flatten the state of California with tactical nukes? If you answered yes to any of these, I have the perfect dysfunctional game for you. Welcome to Hearts of Iron 4, a game built around the rejection of simple concepts such as sleep or the Geneva Convention. In Hoi4, you play as one of many countries which will remove the for more civilian factories. So, just like real life. In Hoi4, there are two start dates, 1939 for casuals and the correct way to play. Starting in 1936, you are given a focus tree which allows you to do a variety of things, such as recruiting more 16-year-olds for that manpower, giving you more factories, or switching your entire country's political ideology. Now, there are a bunch of numbers up here, so what are they? Well, first you have your political power, which is what allows you to do political actions and make controversial decisions, like accepting German refugees. Now, stability is quite obvious. The closer you are to zero, the closer you are to the current state of the US. War support is what percent of hippies have been removed from your country, so if it's low, you're fucked. Manpower is how many children are left to be put in the army after your cheeks are clapped by the Soviets. Convoys are the things that you use to transport your tanks across bodies of water. Finally, we have factories that make your tanks and get bombed by the local inhabitants when you invade their homeland. Okay. But what are these tabs? Well, most of them are pointless, but the important ones are research, which is how you research war crimes, the production tab, which allows you to produce the equipment used for the war crimes, the construction tab, which allows you to build the buildings that produce equipment used for war crimes, and the deployment tab, which allows you to deploy divisions that will either commit war crimes or die in Stalingrad. Now, when making units, there are all these numbers to pay attention to, but these are the important ones. Soft attack is how much you obliterate humans, while hard attack is how hard enemy vehicles get ass-slapped. Defense is how resilient your boys are to ass-slapping. Breakthrough is how quickly you can finish clapping the enemy. Penetration is how far you can shoot an enemy tanks, while armor is resistance to that penetration. And combat width is how wide your boys are.
United States, Canada, Mexico, Panama, Haiti, Jamaica, Peru.
While there are technically a lot of countries you could play as, there is only 7 that 90% of players will play as, because most countries are boring as shit. So let's look at those. Germany is what most players flock to, as it is relatively easy to beat the Allies, as most of the time the AI has an aneurysm. In the early game, you build up those sweet civilian factories and construct military factories, which will give you guns and other weapons, which you will always have a deficit of. Then you get more factories handed to you, so you can build more tanks. In the mid-game, you begin to ask each one of your neighbors to gently stop living, and when they don't comply, you either invade them, bomb them, or both. Russia isn't the best choice for most players. This is because its early game is one of the worst out there, and your army, starting out at least, is quite bad. And so you wait, and wait, and wait, and then Germany fucking invades you out of nowhere, and the Allies are dead because they got naval invaded, and Germany comes with their thick 40 woods that absolutely ass blast your army. Then the Japanese decide now is a good time to invade, and ass blast you from the other direction. Then you have a stroke, then it encircle you, good times. And would you look, they're already at Moscow. But don't worry, the Allies are coming. Oh, wait. Playing as the UK is just one disappointment after another, as you watch all of your allies repeatedly fuck up whilst you are stuck with a relatively small army. So most of the time you will defend France well enough, and then the French get absolutely obliterated, and within 2 minutes Paris is lost. So then you retreat, but then the French surrender. So either you were smart and left as soon as things started to go south, or your entire army gets encircled, and you've just wasted 2 hours of your life, and there's no coming back from this. Except for one not overpowered country that we call America. That's right, Canada, baby. Hoi4 is a game built around careful balancing so that no one country is too powerful. And playing as the US is a giant fuck you to that concept. You see, most countries have an inherent weakness. Germany has a large industry, but not that many boys. The Soviets have a lot of boys, but a small industry, as well as a large front line with the Germans, and they have practically no navy. However, the US has everything, including an entire ocean, to make sure the Germans could never invade. So playing as the US is like playing as the Soviets, but as soon as you enter the war, you ass-slap the Germans, as well as making Italy regret every single life decision they ever made. Speaking of which... Italy is the opposite of the US, as where the United States will have everything, Italy has practically nothing, so it is hard not to be a disappointment. That being, you basically have no factories, so your divisions will be small, sad, and unable to pierce anything while having to fight the Allies in Africa. Additionally, Germany tends to preemptively commit suicide at some point by bringing in more and more enemies. However, it is relatively beginner-friendly, as Germany will carry you, just like they did in real life. All you have to do is not be an extreme disappointment. Playing as France is the closest you can get to your childhood while playing this game. All your neighbors are a lot stronger than you and want to touch you from all directions. After this, you have to move house so you stop getting touched, but they continue to follow you. So, you get your big brother across the water to beat the shit out of them for you. Also, you're going to want to defend right around here. Finally, you could join your neighbors in order to help touch your big brother. As Japan, you get to recreate several war crimes, such as well as the purging of those in your country. Also, you basically have no resources, so good luck fighting the US and China. The one upside I can think of for Japan is that you get the widest leader, Hirohito, who will protect you in times of need. Don't count what you don't have. Count what you have now. Don't count what you don't. Most countries in Hearts of Iron have multiple paths that you can follow. Seen here is the focus tree, which we talked about earlier, but I didn't mention is that in it you can make God mad in many ways, such as reviving the CSA, evicting the royal family, or bringing Napoleon back. This means every new game you play will have some sort of mental disability. Even if you try to make things historically accurate, that's never how they turn out. Now, starting in 1939 removes the alt history, which is objectively not fun and should be avoided, and if you do this, I hate you. Personally. No matter what path you take, the AI tends to adjust. So if Germany goes democratic, then France tends to go fascist, so the game remains balanced. However, this makes playthroughs not as fun because, well, it's not truly random. There are a large number of mods for Hoi4, anything from map changes to new countries, and it can really revitalize the game if you're getting bored. Personally, I find the Hearts of Hentai mod is quite good, as it's a balance between new features that really change things up, and finer details that many users will appreciate. Besides that, there are many serious mods that help improve the game, such as Road to 56, Kaiserreich, Millennium Dawn, and Iron Curtain. Basically, if there's a part of the game you don't like, there's a mod for that. Also, Paradox has continued to add DLC, which in terms of content is similar to mods, but more professional and tends to add features rather than map changes or research focuses. I would say the DLC has helped keep the game alive over the last 4 years and not kick the bucket like every single game made by EA. Now, for the true Hoi4 experience, you're going to need to play with others. Most public servers have some mental disabilities, so you're likely going to want to play with friends, where you can collectively fuck up. Also, the general rule of thumb is the smaller country you play, the bigger your balls are, which is why I play as the Soviets. Also, general multiplayer games are harder, but that depends on if your friends are dumb and if they're your allies. Additionally, I find the game becomes a lot more strategic with friends, as you can tell them where to go and watch them and tell them that they're bad at the game and should have microed better. So there we go, Hoi4, a garbage good game. Buy it or I will ass blast you. Good night.